Hello, happy Tuesday. How are you all doing this fine day? At least I hope it is for you. I have zero complaints. And as a friend of mine said one time, that's good because I'm not the complaint department. I was like, dang, who do I tell my complaints to? No one. What's up, dog mom? I'm glad you're here tonight. I hope you get to relax and unwind like you said you needed to. I don't know if you had a chance to watch yesterday's wrap up of Betty on the Stand. It was kind of a dud. It was weird. There was stuff that I didn't even remember being talked about on Cross, but I probably blocked it. I don't know. What's up, Gabby? I see it get into my head this whole time. I'm like, hey, AJ, hey. I can't do it. Oh, Bree. Hey, hey. Father Muckus. Wow. Aw. She's taking another nap. Carmen, I feel like I just talked to you. What's up, Flash fan? How are you? I'm fantastic. I can do this one, girl. I can do this one, Carmen. Hey girl, hey. Carmen's getting like flashbacks and it's hilarious. Also, Brie, I feel like I just saw you too. Hey Holly, what's up? Good to see you. Oh goodness. Well, I'm glad, Dog Mom. it may feel like we veer off course sometimes, and we do, but we will always come back. I think most of the time so far. Oh, Sharon. Sharon gave me a hey, AJ, hey. How are you doing, Sharon? I hope you're feeling better. You have got my sympathy with Crohn's. I'm right there with you, and it sucks. Yeah, that is weird, Flash fan. I've been thinking about that today. I don't know that because you're right. She's the defendant, and they did say subject to recall. So I don't know. That was weird. 60% of the time it works all the time. Like yesterday. I tested everything today. It was working. So if it's not working now, I have a gremlin somewhere that Carmen did not take back to Texas because this is the room she slept in. So hope for the best. Anyway, so if you don't know and you're new here, we are in the process of covering the Betty Broderick. Where's Laura been? I've missed her. I can't do it. I have to say Indy 500, and then I can say Broderick. There you go. That's for you, Gabby. It is a trial from 1991, the second trial that Court TV ever aired. My first trial that I watched and was just like, I don't know. I probably just sat there wide-eyed, like, what's going on? And hey, Adair, how you doing? You're a new member, Carmen? That's weird. Ooh, I have never had lamb chops. Hey, Lauren. How are you? Hope you are doing well. It's good to see you. So yes, we are covering the Betty Broderick trial. from 1991. Like I said, this is the first trial I ever watched, and I've talked about it a lot. So I wanted to watch it. So that's what we're doing. Um, she's on trial for unaliving her ex-husband, his new wife of 6 months, Linda Kolkena. Kenna, I don't know. Um, in their bedroom while they slept. Uh, she broke into their house and put some rounds in them. Her book that she released in 2023, when we were reading the summary, still haven't figured out how she released the book. And I still have not listened to it because I don't want to. I will just tell you. I will just tell you that. It's fine, Carmen. But in the summary, it says that, so the name of the book is Betty Broderick, Telling on Myself. I read the comments. There's supporters there. There's non-supporters there. There are people that said she leaves a lot of stuff out and she only tells her side. I know you're all shocked at that after what we saw in the witness stand from her. But she says that, I know, right, Lauren? She says that she went over to Dan and Linda's house that morning, early in the morning, like you do when you want to confront somebody. That she went over there, broke into their home, my words, not hers, and went to confront them. And then unalived both of them in self-defense. That I don't know how you self-defend against somebody who's sleeping. I mean, okay, that's her telling on herself. Carmen, she bumped it. She bumped the door. She did not drive through it. She bumped it, a little tap, a little love tap, like you do. And she took the phone, yes, because that's what you do when you are confronting people. You take the phone as they are trying to call for help after they say to you, "You got me," because you put a round or two or three in them. And poor Linda just really kind of didn't know what hit her. Fortunately, probably. I don't know. Maybe only women. Flash fan, because she as far as I know, she didn't have a prison husband. No proof they were sleeping, Baker. No proof they were sleeping. They could be trying to sneak attack her. Yes, lying in the bed. That was the biggest sneak attack of all time. If you guys don't know, Broken Baker, he has an amazing channel. Gabby, I don't know if you can grab his link real quick. I would appreciate that. Check him out if you haven't. He's Danish, so English is like his third language. Some would say that makes him not very smart. I think he's a genius. Also, he knows the law better than a lot of Americans do. So I don't know. Betty and Sarah Boone are just misunderstood. Baker has a thing for Sarah Boone. He liked when she was in her short shorts. Being stupid makes me not that smart, Baker. Yeah. Never gonna happen. Go follow the Broken Baker. He's slow in French. Dang, all three of you got. He's in chat 3 times. Thank you, guys. Because Betty and Sarah, they both play the victim so very well. They do. The men were just so horrible to me. Well, they were the abusers and the unalivers. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, and Dogma, Betty's changed her story a lot. A lot. Like, it's crazy. And I just don't, this book is read in an AI voice. And I don't want to listen to it. Meanwhile, there goes that talk to text. We're used to it. Oh, Carmen. Sarah, Betty, and Lori could be sisters. Gross. Yes, we all know Sarah. It was not intentional. She said it 1,000 times, which makes her innocent. They were having a good day. They only had 2 bottles of wine. 2 bottles of wine. Those are the biggest bottles of wine ever. Yes, that is a nightmare, Lauren. The sisters. Ugh. Lori Vallow versus Betty Broderick. Who wins? Lori Vallow, hands down, all day, every day. She'd just get somebody else to do it. It'd be done quickly, or she'd give them a smoothie and they'd be gone. Betty's going to take a little while. She simmers for a little bit and then she does her deed. Lori doesn't simmer. She did. Gabby wrote a very nice message in Discord. It was very nice of her. Oh, and Sarah got A's in school. She can't be guilty. Of course. There are no geniuses in prison. Yes, and Shabusiness and Kershesky. Who are we missing? Oh, how could I forget? Hot sauce and stale crackers. Freaking Vander Ark. Ugh. Add her to the mix. She can defend them all. Gross. Can't stand her. But if her court hearing is streamed, we will watch it. Because I will just hate on her. Bunch of women haters in here if you think they are guilty. Well, women we're the worst to each other, so I guess that would make sense. Shabusiness was a doozy, Adair. You are correct. And she still is. I don't know. That woman. Oh, I forgot about Letitia Stout. Is that her last name? Oh my goodness. That would be funny to watch, though. I would pay. We could do like a pay-per-view on that and just sit there and watch them ramble. And Sarah could be there for shits and giggles. It's your business. She'd just come in and make a stew out of them all. I don't know. Okay. So anyway, we watched the end of Betty's testimony yesterday, or her redirect and recross. It was weird. He started asking about the funeral. I don't remember ever talking about the funeral on Cross. I didn't remember the state ever bringing up her voluntarily terminating some pregnancies. I don't remember that. When that judge gave the instruction on that, that was weird because I didn't remember that, although it would be irrelevant. So I don't know if the state or the defense was trying to bring that up on redirect. I don't know because they had a delay. We didn't see all that. And then that we opened with the judge's instruction yesterday. And then there was one other thing. I don't know. There was a couple of other things that he tried to bring up on redirect that she kept saying. She wasn't saying it was out of the scope, but she was saying like there's these facts aren't in evidence. And some the judge let go, some he didn't. And it was very strange. I thought, did I pay attention to her cross-examination? Because I must have missed that day. Lauren, I have no idea. Him bringing up those terminations was like, I was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. So it was, and then I don't even remember what recross was about. I don't know. Chat was very funny yesterday, so there's that. So on the stand today, we have a psychologist, Don Lusterman. I don't see his name real quick. We've got about an hour of testimony for him. And we still have the woman who got in a snowball fight on her way to the courthouse, court reporting. I don't know where Church Lady is. We did not see her at all yesterday either. And I know we all love her very much. Hey, Nidawa, how you doing? Yes, that's a lot. That's a lot. And Nidawa could not see us on her broken phone and keep us in line. Carmen, I'm not reading that. All right, let's hope that this comes out the correct speakers today. And it should. It did earlier. And that sounds good. Meh, because you don't have your church lady. Still good to see you. Puddletown, meh or no meh? New phone tomorrow. Tomorrow. Oh, thanks, Gabby. I thought you had my back. Sound is not broken. I haven't hit it yet. How could we forget? Mother of the Year, Diane Downs, as she sat in the courtroom rocking out to Hungry Like the Wolf. I don't recall that one. I have to look and refresh my memory. All right, I'm hitting play. Cross your fingers. Let's hope for the best.
Yes. Don David Lusterman, last name L-U-S.
I have voice boost on. If I need to turn it down, let me know. I just have the voice part boosted because when I had it all boosted, it was way too bassy and was a little muddled. So if I need to turn the sound down, I will. Yes, Lusterman, Puddletown, Lusterman. He's a fapper.
Terman.
Thank you.
Sir, what is your occupation?
I'm a psychologist.
And are you licensed in any state as a psychologist?
I'm licensed in the state of New York.
And what type of practice are you engaged in?
I'm a family psychologist, specialized, among other things, in marriage and family.
And where's your practice located?
Baldwin, New York.
And where in New York is that?
That's on Long Island, about 30 miles from New York City.
And what is your primary work in your practice?
My primary work is treating families and couples.
What kind of education have you had to be engaged in this practice?
I hold a doctorate in clinical psychology, and I have had postgraduate training at Roosevelt Hospital in New York City in their family program.
Are you recognized by any of the boards of psychology?
Yes, the American Board of Professional Psychology. I hold the diplomate in family psychology from the American Board of Professional Psychology. I also hold the diplomates in marriage and family and marriage and sexual therapy from the American Board of Family Psychology.
And what does that mean when you're a diplomate?
That means that I have been, my abilities and training have been examined by each of these diplomating boards.
Okay. And are those boards nationwide boards?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And have you had any training in any type of teaching institute?
Yes, I have taught. I taught from 1973 until, no, excuse me, from the 60s until 1980 at Hofstra University.
And have you had training in any other hospitals?
I trained at the Veterans Hospital in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, New York, and in Brooklyn, New York, and at Roosevelt Hospital.
Okay. And have you had any? Are you a fellow in any of the associations?
Yes, I am a fellow in the American Psychological Association, and I am a fellow in the American Association for Marriage and Family Therapy.
And what does that mean?
that means that I've been recognized as having made significant contributions to both of those professions.
Okay. And the boards that you've been that you are a member of, do you do anything in regards to researching on articles in those fields?
I am on the board of two journals, the American Journal of the Journal of Family Psychology and the American Journal of Family Therapy. And in the course of my work for each of these editorial boards, I review articles.
Okay. And have you written articles in those fields?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And is that a few, many?
I have a bibliography of somewhat over 2 pages, including chapters in a number of books, a book, and many professional articles.
Okay. Have you been involved in any work in any university in family counseling?
Yes, I established the program in family counseling at Hofstra University in 1973. And when I left that, I left as an adjunct full professor.
Now, have you written any articles in the area of infidelity and its impact on people?
Yes, in May-June issue of the Family Networker, I wrote an article specifically on infidelity called Treating the Crisis of Marital Infidelity.
And is that an area of expertise that you deal with within family counseling?
Yes, it is.
Do you, and in your private practice, is this an area where you have expertise or get referrals from other people or
Yes.
other professionals?
Yes, indeed.
Can you define for us what infidelity is?
Yes. I would say that infidelity is the situation that occurs when one partner continues to believe in a contract of monogamy and fidelity, while the other partner violates that contract.
And what do you mean by the contract of fidelity and monogamy?
Most religions, certainly in the Judeo-Christian tradition, the underlying contract of marriage is that the people will be faithful to one another, respect one another, and hold one another in honor.
Okay. And what do you normally see when people are acting under that contract, under this marital contract?
Under marital contract of fidelity?
Yes.
Yes, I see people who respect and honor one another.
And is there a position of trust that they have with each other?
That's the basis of the contract, is trust.
Okay. Now, does this contract of trust, does it have any ramifications in the area of vulnerability towards either party?
Yes, when you trust someone, the more trusting you become, the more vulnerable you become if that trust is violated, because the relationship is so based in that understanding of trust. So with that, you leave yourself open.
Okay. And when you have a relationship that comes from marriage and you have an affair or something that interferes with that relationship, does it have an effect on the various parties in the marriage?
Yes. To explain that, I would need to explain a little bit about the terminology that I use when I teach about marriage and family.
Okay, could you go ahead and tell us what those terms are and what they mean?
The terms that I use to describe the people who are directly involved in an infidelity are the infidel, that is to say the person who violates trust, the victim, that is to say the person whose trust is violated, and the affairee, for the person with whom the infidel is having an affair.
Okay. And is this effect on the affair, does it have just the effect on the people in the affair or other people too?
In the book that I'm working on, I describe the impact of infidelity on the immediate 3 people involved, their families, their parents, their children, friends. Once infidelity becomes known, its impact on family is enormous. In fact, on the whole,
Excuse me, Doctor.
I'm
I'll
sorry.
ask the doctor opining further in that area.
Well, stay. Just another question, Mr. Ray.
When you have a relationship where there is an affair or infidelity, is there a difference in how people react when the affair is a secret one rather than an open one?
by definition, an infidelity is a secret affair.
So I take it that when you have an affair that's not secret, it does not have the same effect?
The name that's
Sustained.
Was there a difference in the effects of an affair that's secret or not secret?
when an affair is not secret, the name that most experts use for it is an arrangement. That is, say, an understanding between two people that they will not follow the normal rules of monogamy and fidelity. Where the rules are violated, and there isn't an infidelity as most of us define it, that means by nature that it begins as a secret act, which is sometimes subsequently discovered.
Okay, when you have someone where there's an affair where it's secret infidelity, does that affect the mental condition of the one who you term the victim?
Yes.
Okay, and what is that effect?
There are stages in its effects. The stage that I use to describe the first effect is what is called cold rage. During a period of cold rage, usually the victim has not yet let into her consciousness, or his, if the victim happens to be a male, the fact of what is happening. And so they are getting information that would suggest to most people that something is happening to the quality of the marriage, but they are not tuned to that. During that phase, people may ask them, don't you think something is happening? They may have information that one would expect them to react to, like changes in habit, new schedules on the part of the infidel, frequent lateness, etc. But the fact is, during that period, the victim has still not permitted that into consciousness. During that time, generally speaking, the victim's personality is beginning to change. She's becoming irritable, short. In some way, she is evidencing what is happening, but what she is not letting into her awareness. The second stage is called hot rage. Hot rage comes after the discovery of infidelity. During the hot rage stage, there is an enormous release of all of the angry energy that has been stored during the cold rage phase, where the person has been in denial. So the hot rage phase usually is triggered by the discovery of the infidelity and the reaction to that.
Okay. Are there alternate phases in the cold phase, in a cold rage?
Once the cold rage, during the cold rage itself, yes. Sometimes the person may vary between trying very, very hard to satisfy the mate because they don't know what is happening and they feel very insecure, although they have not admitted to themselves or it has not become evident that an affair is going on. Sometimes they're very irritable, very angry, although they don't know why.
Now, does when you see affairs, is there some kind of behavior you usually see that you can see on behalf of the infidel that has an effect on the mental condition of the victim?
Yes.
And what's that?
The infidel must cover his tracks. It's a hidden thing. Because it's a hidden thing, it involves lies. Those lies have to be denied. So the victim who's struggling to come to grips with what is happening and to understand what is happening is being told that nothing is happening. And that is extremely unsettling to the person because they struggle to believe that, even though friends, others may be telling them that they shouldn't be believing it.
And is there any things that you see as to, is there sometimes confrontations between the victims and the infidels about the affair?
We're talking about during the cold rage phase before
Yes.
the actual, yes, frequently. The victim will say, is anything happening? Tell me if something is wrong. What is going on? And the infidel will say, nothing is going on. You don't know what you're talking about. They will deny it.
Okay. Does the effect or the kind of process of somebody telling somebody that they're unsettled or that while they're telling them about denying the affair, does it have different effects depending on whether the person has some traditional marriage beliefs versus somebody who doesn't?
No, it's never, you can lead them overruled. Go ahead.
Would you mind repeating the question?
Okay. Does the effect of this process of telling somebody that they're mentally unsettled, that they're crazy, does that have any different effects depending on whether the person has some traditional marriage beliefs versus somebody who doesn't?
Generally speaking, the more intensely committed a person is to the marriage, which at times is a matter of religious background, religious convictions. The more unsettled the person is during this phase, as they are seeking confirmation that the contract of monogamy and fidelity is still in effect, being told that it is, but becoming more and more frightened and uncomfortable because they're getting other sensory information that suggests maybe it isn't, but they're still being told that there is no cause for alarm, no cause for worry. It's very unsettling and confusing to the victim.
Okay, when we're talking about traditional marriages, what type of groups are you talking about?
I would say marriages that for example, people who come from a tradition of Orthodox Christianity, Orthodox Judaism, people who are well schooled in a particular religious tradition.
Now, this process of vulnerability, where the person wants to believe the partner what is going on and is willing to believe them, even in the face of other signs, is anything else? Do you see other things happening?
The person is pressing away an awareness that something is wrong. She doesn't want to know what is wrong. She is being told that nothing is wrong, but she's nervous. She's edgy because the same person who's telling her that nothing is wrong is also doing things which suggest that something is wrong. So that the denial process is building and the victim is becoming more and more nervous and more edgy. Later, they will frequently say, now I understand why I was so irritable and so angry and so different than I'm used to being.
Cold rage, is that a very short period of time, a very long period of time normally? Or
It varies, but generally speaking, cold rage goes on from sometime during the course of the infidelity until the direct discovery of the infidelity. Now, there's another issue here as well. Once an infidelity is admitted, frequently there's still back and forth on it. So the person may move back and forth now between cold rage and hot rage, as she either believes what the infidel is telling her when he subsequently denies what he admitted, or accepts it. If she accepts it, if she fully grasps it, she is going to be into hot rage. She's going to be very explosive because it's like a pressure cooker. The longer those feelings are pressed down, the more explosively they're going to come out when they come out.
Okay. Now, you talked about the area that somebody, when there's a denial going on and undermining the person's stability, is there a term that's used in the field as to what that is?
The term that I use is the term gaslighting.
Okay. And what is gaslighting?
Gaslighting, it's based on a movie of many years ago, a movie I think from the late 30s or early 40s, in which a man marries a woman essentially for the purpose of cheating her, hurting her, not through infidelity. She has something that he wants. And he fools her into believing that he loves her and continues to love her.
Excuse me, doctor, but Your Honor, I don't see whether this has anything to do with Stockton's form expertise.
To explain the term gaslighting, but I don't see the relevance of that term based on his explanation so far, Mr. Early.
May I explain?
Yeah, go ahead.
The reason I use the term is it was brought to me by a number of victims who used the term. And so I began to try to understand what it was. And what it really refers to is the impact of the lying on the victim, that the victim continues to believe the lie and thus begins to feel undermined in her very being.
Okay.
That's thus the term gaslighting.
Now, is there a relationship that you find in the length of a marriage and or the length of this process that you call gaslighting on the victim of the affair?
The longer the denial process goes on, that is to say, the longer the infidelity goes on and is denied, and the victim accepts that denial, the stronger the feelings that are going to erupt when she hits hot rage are going to be.
Now, how does the victim of the affair, how do they feel towards themselves as this process is going on?
There is an enormous loss of self-esteem. The person really begins to doubt everything about her life. She doubts herself. She can doubt every aspect of her being. She begins to wonder what she's doing that's wrong, even though she is still being told that nothing has happened. But she's getting waves that suggest to her that something is happening. And she searches herself. She becomes really distraught during this period.
Okay. Now, when we talk about the lies that the people that you talk about, the infidel telling, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about,
No, Judge, I think he's already covered this area, Your Honor.
Sustained. Asked and answered.
Does anything happen in regards, are these lies that have an effect immediately, or they can have an effect at other times too?
I think that the most dramatic thing is that often the lies are accepted as truths. That's part of the vulnerability. When the person becomes aware that indeed they were lies, she is ready to tear herself apart. She says, how could I have been such a fool? How could I have believed this? And that's the vulnerability, because now the shield that she's had, that the marriage was still going on, is really being ripped apart.
Okay. And can these lies have effect? Do they have effect just at that time, or can they have an effect at a later time also?
What I find is that there is a long period of review that goes on after the discovery, where the victim now begins to look for every possible bit of evidence to restore her sense of who she is. She's lost a belief in herself. And now she needs to prove to herself that she's okay, that she is seeing things clearly. And so there is often a frenzied search of her partner's possessions or diaries or checkbooks or any sort of data she can get hold of that restores her own sense of what has happened to her.
Okay. Now, as something that a person believed, as a lie comes forward, will it have an effect to them at the time they discovered, even if the lie was told sometime earlier?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And how
It's almost as if it were happening again, all over.
So if somebody is told a lie at one point in 2 years,
Sustained.
can you explain that in the terms of what happens when someone is told something, a lie, and maybe discover it 2 years later?
Yes. They feel the rage that they felt in the original instance. And they once again say to themselves, how could I have accepted this? What's wrong with me? And of course, there's rage at the person for having perpetrated the lie.
Does the, as you say, this person loses their self-esteem and their anchors,
Objection to counsel testifying.
No, just focus it in, overruled, go ahead.
does this affect the way they deal with other things such as their work, their relationship with their children, family, neighbors?
Yes, they are devastated.
Okay. Does it affect the victim's ability to trust themselves as far as whether they can be a good worker or a good mother?
It is often pervasive. People sometimes cannot work any longer. They go through a period where they miss days of work, where they can't parent effectively.
Now, you say that you talked about this area of hot rage when there's, how does that process work, hot rage?
During the
Yes, answer.
Overruled, you can answer that.
during the period of hot rage, to the degree that the person's beliefs have been shored up falsely by the infidel who keeps on denying that something is happening, to that degree they explode later. And the person will threaten, the person will scream at the other person, will generally act in ways that are not part of that person's normal being.
Are hot rage and cold rage terms this guy came up with? I don't think I've ever heard them before. And he's writing a book because he's already said it, promoted it, so to speak. I don't understand what he's saying because I've kind of tuned him out. Well, does that mean he's going to flip me off? I don't know what that means. Pause. What? Pause. Oh, that pause. I was like, I did pause. Carmen, what? I don't like this expert's testimony. And he does. He looks like going to give me a knuckle sandwich. Cold Rage is a song by Religious Chickens. And it would be better. It would be better, Adair. Oh my goodness. He does have tiny. I did like Pedaltown's autocorrect this time. Tiny carry hands. I would carry it, but I only had tiny carry hands, so only carry this much. But they are tiny. I don't know who he reminds me of. He kind of makes me, and I don't know why, because I think he was bald, but he makes me think of Mr. Spacely. Oh no. Just miss a bit. Just miss a bit, Shinny. And how you doing? just stay with us. Stay with us. Whew. Why do we all think these glasses were okay? Hey, he might have had a medical condition. Followed up by the number one hit, Cluck You, by the Religious Chickens. Aw. All I could think of is the secret seven, what is it? The secret 7 herbs and spices. What the heck does Kentucky Fried Chicken have? Either that's a crumb on his tie next to the knot. Oh, wait. Either that's a crumb on his tie next to the knot, or it's the tie pin, and it's not supposed to be that high on the tie. My dad, if you're talking about my dad, he did not have tinted glasses. Those was like 70s. I've actually watched quite a bit about that. Flashman. And it's kind of crazy. Some people say she should be free to go. But I'm not going to talk about that. Chiclet teeth. Ooh. Well, okay. All right. Well, I don't know what cold rage and hot rage, and never heard those. Well, settle down. I don't know. This thing's this him trying to explain it away, and I know he is doing it on purpose to refer to the victim as her and the infidel as him. Every once in a while he'll say they, which is because, I'm sorry, women cheat too. Good grief. He's demonstrating. All right. On that note, I'm going to hit play. I do have it sped up some, but I don't feel like I do.
For example, a woman who generally speaking is very quiet and has a good demeanor, is known to have a good demeanor, may suddenly in the office, even though we're now beyond the infidelity and are working on some kind of a return to a relationship, something gets triggered. The man says something that reminds her of something, and sometimes the session will break up wildly towards the end of the session, even though we're working on getting the couple back together, because the infidel has said something that reminds her.
I think we're not.
Well, staying. Just ask me another question, Mr. Whittle. He's non-responsive.
How do you find the victims of these affairs? How do they deal with this rage? Is it simple?
Well, girl, you answer that.
They deal with this rage in a variety of ways. Sometimes they directly express the rage to the infidel, to the affairee, talking to friends, parents, children. Sometimes they take it in and become very, very depressed. Sometimes they do both. But they cannot but be affected by what has happened to them.
Is there a time during during this phase where the victim will blame themselves for the problems?
Yes.
And why is that?
They blame themselves because they think, how could they have trusted so much? How could they have been such fools? The word that you often hear from the victim during this phase. Sometimes they even become suicidal and say, I've made such a mess by believing this. I staked my life on this. What life do I have?
Do they,
May I say another word on that?
No
yes,
question.
I'm sorry. It is not
Go ahead, Jim.
yes, go ahead.
it is not infrequent during that phase for the person to be so seriously depressed that the person is at least referred for the possibility of antidepressant medication. They can't sleep, they can't eat, they pace, they're really beside themselves.
Okay. Now, the feelings that they have about this rage, is this something that people can just turn on and off?
It's been my experience that even for me as an experienced therapist dealing with infidelity, I don't know when it's going to pop up during a session. It can happen with such suddenness and such ferocity.
Is there now? Is there a process where people find that they can where they can deal with the infidelity or this rage, or find some relief from it?
Yes,
And how is that?
if the infidel can approach the victim and express remorse for the way he has lied to the person, and clear admission of what has happened, that's at least the beginning of a process in which you can have some kind of a reintegration. The couple can then either be ready to really think rationally about whether the marriage can go on and get beyond this infidelity, or whether the marriage has to end, but it can end in a healthier way than if there is not admission and remorse on the part of the infidel. In other words, it tends to begin to diminish the hot rage.
Do you find that without this remorsefulness, or this person admitting at least the problems they caused, that there tends to be a lack of release of this rage, or this pressure cooker you talked about?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. And why is that?
Because the person feels no requitement, no recompense. They're still really being told somehow that nothing happened. Once the infidel is able to sit down and say, look, yes, I did this, even though things weren't going on and things were going wrong in the marriage, I didn't have to lie and cheat to you. I didn't have to go outside of the contract. I could have told you that I didn't want to stay in the marriage. We could have negotiated a divorce. So there's the beginning of an apology to the victim specific to the lie. It's the lying which really causes the problem.
And without that admission as to causing those problems, does that thwart the effort to be able to get the pressure off, the pressure?
The lying really causes the problems. I'm going to say the relations with the other person probably causes the problems. That's my guess. You don't have to lie if you're not having that part of it. The lying comes because of your actions, sir. Also, was he trying to help Dan and Betty, or is he just promoting his book? He's not said her name or his name at all. I just want to get to cross here. That's horrible. Relations, oh, yes. Always causes the problem. Because you said have a good one, Flash fan. Like she was leaving. Or were you just like telling her? Like, never mind. Her snarky. Better than your attitude cost it, I guess. I don't know what RH is. I don't know. But I don't like this. I don't dislike this guy. He's not I'm sure he's very smart. Oh, you hit enter too soon. But he's not like, he's boring. Sorry, I said it. And then there's Adair with the truth. This is the biggest load of crap ever. He's saying she had some condition. She had cold rage and hot rage that caused her to double unalive. Yes. I believe that's what he's saying. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I don't think I said hate. I said I don't like. If I was on the jury right now, I would be eating the box of donut pencils and drinking the yellow Dixie cups of stuff just to hope to get out of it.
Mr. Cooker?
Yes, because it leaves the person in this state of rage, leaves the victim in the state of rage.
Is there problems with people who are going through this rage and infidelity when they are brought for help without some admission as to the cause of the rage?
If a person goes to therapy and the therapist is unaware of what has happened, the therapist may make the error of seeing what the patient does as depression or some other form of what's called process mental illness. In other words, an underlying process which has always been there in the person. In fact, happening to the person, whereas there has been an infidelity, the person is reacting to it, but hasn't yet in that phase of therefore this can mistake that for pathological jealousy or something else.
Okay. And just very shortly, what is the difference between pathological jealousy and?
Your Honor, this is in violation of
No, that's
agreement between counsel.
No, that's proper. Go ahead.
The difference between pathological jealousy and a rage reaction, the pathological jealousy means that the patient has a history. Someone who every time they go to a party with their mate have always been known to look every time the person talks to someone else or goes out of the room, etc. That would be an example of pathological and probably unfounded jealousy.
Yeah.
Whereas what we're describing here is a reactive situation. The person is frightened and hurt and angry. There's a difference between that and pathological jealousy.
Okay. And when someone is brought to, when somebody when we have an affair that's going on and we have this effect on the victim, does it block the process of getting better when they're brought somewhere and told for help it's because they're crazy, rather than dealing with the affair itself?
A person who is reacting to an affair is not by nature necessarily crazy. A person who's reacting to an affair is reacting with hurt, pain, anger, to the feeling of being betrayed. So if that person is judged, and it is in the literature, as being pathologically jealous, I think that hurts the person very deeply.
Have you ever heard the word double bind?
Yes, indeed.
And what does that mean?
A double bind is a situation in which no matter what you do, you are wrong.
Okay. And in terms of someone who is suffering from the effects of an affair and is being brought to a doctor because they said they're crazy, they're the one that's crazy, what effect, what does?
It's complicated. If another person trusts...
It's the same.
Does going to seek help on the basis that not dealing with the rage or with the infidelity, but dealing with the effects of the infidelity, saying the person is basically crazy. Does that block the person's ability to deal with this rage?
Yes, because the person is being treated by someone who believes that the rage is,
No objection, Your Honor.
Overruled and answered.
that the rage is pathological. In other words, it's really a misdiagnosis.
The area of infidelity and its effects, is that a new area, a long-established area of psychology, a new area?
It's a fairly recent area.
And why is that?
I think because there was a confusion between infidelity and the impact of infidelity on the victim and jealousy.
If I may have 1 minute, Your Honor.
Certainly.
Just one and move on. Let's get to cross. Yeah,
When you have these feelings of despair and rage from the breaking of trust, is this something, and it's not based in pathology that the person is crazy, but it's something that people normally feel. How do they feel about that process normally?
I'm not understanding your question.
nobody is, or your answers.
Is in relating it like to a book, is there a feeling that people, or what you can do when people are going through this process? It's not based on pathology, but based on the rage. Do you understand the question
No,
at
I
all?
don't.
Okay.
I think he's literally like, I have no defense and I came up with the best questions I could.
Do if there is a denial of the infidel's involvement in a person's unsettling, does this interfere with the person's ability to deal with the rage?
Objection.
Sustained.
Is it possible for these people to deal with these feelings apart from the infidel?
It's very, very difficult because until they know for a certainty what has happened, they're in a kind of a search mode. They feel very shattered. Can I describe the patient?
Go ahead.
One patient described the feeling as she began to be in this period between cold rage and discovery. She said it's like a book with a binding, a nice old book. If you kind of open the binding and it breaks, the pages start falling out. And she said that's what her life feels like, that all the pages are falling out. So she feels very scattered, confused, unable to pull herself together. The truth helps to begin that process of healing.
Okay. And when the people are totally separate, let's say they're separate from each other, the infidel and the victim,
Mhm.
Can the person start dealing with that rage?
It's hard. It's very hard because the person has been married, has believed that a marriage was going on. She's confused. What happened? At least tell me what was going on. I don't understand. Tell me what went wrong.
Now, can there,
He's not mentioned Betty's name one time. Not once. He just said, as an example, and he wasn't even talking about Betty. Oh my gosh. He's just talking about people he's talked to. Ugh. How can you keep a straight face? This unaliving is about feelings. She had a symptom. What a joke. I agree, Adair. It's driving me crazy. I think my cold rage is about to turn into hot rage. Oh my gosh, this is such a load of crap. Exactly. Why are you here? Did you psychoanalyze Betty? No? Okay, no, next. Bye. Why are you here? I do think the next doctor is a doctor whose names we heard Betty mention a lot. So at least maybe we'll, because I hope that the state comes back on cross and ask, did you ever treat Betty? And I get it. Sometimes they don't. They just look at, especially like we've seen it a lot nowadays, they look at the reports, they do all that stuff there. But I don't even know that that happened here because we haven't heard of any of it. Betty pause instead of menopause.
Does some contact from whatever means between the victim and the infidel, does it keep it so that that pressure cooker remains there if there is no resolution of that or admission?
Objection has been answered.
Sustained on the first grounds.
If the will the victim, if there has not been a healing process or admission by the infidel as to this breaking of this trust, is there common to see statements that reflect despair, bitterness, anything such as that?
Has been answered.
Overruled, that stands.
Okay, and what kind of things are you talking about?
No objection.
Overruled, you can explain it, go ahead.
Things I'm talking about are the feeling on the victim's part that her life is falling apart. She doesn't trust herself. She's not sure about her own judgment. And at the same time, she is in rage. So she's torn. She's going both ways. Part of her is saying, I don't know what's wrong with me. Part of her is saying, I am just so angry.
When you have a prior relationship where a person in the relationship has been making all the prior decisions, does that affect how the person, the amount of rage or the feelingness of hopelessness after an untreated affair?
Objection, simply hypothetical.
Well, sustained.
Can the positions of the party in the relationship affect how the person relates or how they deal with an affair, untreated affair?
Yes. To the degree that there's a power disparity, that say one person has power and the other has less power, and that frequently is the case where there's an infidelity. The victim now feels disempowered in almost every part of her life. She feels threatened. She doesn't know what's going to happen to herself. And that increases a sense of chaos, despair, rage.
Do people sometimes move on from these process?
Oh, yes.
Okay, and what is it usually that brings that on?
Usually, it is some process of healing, at best, between the two people. And usually the preceding necessity is for admission and remorse. And again, I'll specify, remorse about the lying, because the lying has removed from the person a sense of trust in the world as she understands it.
Okay, and is there some Is there some time where there is a need for is there some time that this healing process can go on without that? In other words, if the people end up being separated by long distances, there can be a closure in this.
Eventually, yeah.
Okay. If there is still contact between the people of any kind, is that thwart the closure without the admission?
If there's no admission, yes, it thwarts the closure because it keeps on raising the old question and all the old rage.
And can that closure come from other means other than admission?
Objection asked.
Sustained.
Does at any time, do you see that other people sometimes get involved in this process of either the crazy making or the inability to address the affair?
Objection, Betty, and irrelevant is closed.
Sustained.
Okay, I have no further questions.
How long are you going to be on cross, Mr. Burkhoff? For less? You folks going to keep going?
I like to keep going.
I hope the jurors get a vote. All right, keep going. Go ahead.
Think-
Good afternoon, Doctor.
Good afternoon.
Please make this more interesting.
Now, you've been flown out by the defense from New York to testify in this
Yes.
case for your opinion, essentially.
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever talk to the defendant in this case?
No, I have not.
At any time?
No.
Did you observe the defendant testify in this case today, yesterday, days before?
I saw a bit on TV last night.
What about in the first trial?
No, absolutely no knowledge.
And your testimony is not based on anything you saw in court, I
No.
take it. Did you review any divorce file? No, there was a divorce in this case, right?
Yes, I will.
Did you review the divorce trial transcript?
No.
Did you review the police reports in this case?
No.
Did you review the prosecution's witness interview reports?
No.
Did you review the defense attorney's interview reports?
No.
And evidence here, or haven't been entered in evidence here?
The only thing is a little snippet that was on that TV program on 2020.
And I assume that has nothing to do with your opinion here?
No, because my opinion is based on the literature. I'm
Okay.
really reporting on my clinical experience, not on this case.
So you've talked to nobody that knew the defendant before she killed Dan and Lynn Broderick, is that
No.
fair? And you've talked to nobody who knew Dan Broderick or Linda Broderick before they were
No.
killed? So what you're saying has nothing to do with the facts in this case, is that correct?
That's correct.
Because you know nothing about the facts. Would you agree, though, sir, that it might be wiser to know something about the facts before you come and give an expert opinion in this case?
No, because I'm testifying about a syndrome, really, the syndrome of infidelity and its effects.
Haven't you testified that the way people react to affairs varies from couple to couple?
Yes, that's correct.
That would be helpful, wouldn't it not? Wouldn't it to know what happened in this particular case?
I'm testifying about a clinical area.
Oh, I understand that, but would it be helpful to know what happened in this case?
Your Honor, objection.
No.
It's argumentative.
Sustained.
You don't feel it would be helpful, is that fair to say?
I'm testifying on an area of expertise,
But not having nothing to do with the facts in this case, is that correct?
having to do with an expert knowledge of infidelity and its effects upon people.
Totally unrelated to this particular case, is that correct?
Objection.
It's argumentative. Sustained.
I'll withdraw, Your Honor. Now, Dr. Lusterman, when you talk about the concept of hot rage and cold rage and the pressure cooker, aren't you really saying that when one spouse finds out that the other spouse may be having an affair, that first spouse gets very angry?
I don't think it's nearly that simple.
But do they get angry?
Certainly at that point, they become angry.
Couldn't they also become jealous?
I have not found, and I've interviewed thousands of hours on this, and I've conferred with others. I have not found that jealousy is the primary issue. The primary issue is the feeling of betrayal.
Are you telling us, doctor, that if one spouse suspects the other spouse of having an affair or actually knows of the affair's existence, that first spouse may not be jealous?
I'm saying that what I find is that is not the primary factor, and that's not what you have to address clinically. In fact, addressing it only confuses the matter.
I don't think that's my question, doctor. My question is,
Wouldn't there be anger, bitterness, jealousy, sadness, betrayal, like all that kind of like in a tornado together when somebody found that out? I think he's wrong about jealousy not being there. I think that would be a normal feeling to have, because what do they have that, why them? Why not me? I don't know. The other S word? There's lots of S words. Yes. Most people get over it. This is funny. This is nuts. I can't. Gabby, I'm glad you clarified what the S word was. And I might need I'm not going to, but I might need 6 of them myself after going through this. I'm not going to, because I not wake up in the morning.
can they feel jealousy when they discover an affair on the part of their spouse?
Yeah, jealousy is there, but jealousy is not the primary thing that's happening. What's happening is that they've gone for a long period of time believing in the contract
I'm
fidelity.
sorry. I think
of
you've
the
answered my question. Thank you. Thank you. Now, would it be correct to state that when one spouse believes the other spouse has been unfaithful and suspects the affair, and then confronts the second spouse about that, and the second spouse says, no, the affair is not happening, denies the affair for one reason or another, that would make the first spouse even angrier, isn't that correct?
It's been my experience that during the time in which the infidel is denying, that generally speaking, that the victim is confused.
Well,
She's
yes.
just not sure. She does not want to believe that indeed an affair is going on.
Okay, but let's say the victim, as you say, finds out that there was an affair and confronts the spouse with the evidence, and the spouse says, no, the affair is not happening. Is that going to make the first spouse even angrier?
Subsequently, frequently during the course of it, the victim is simply confused and doesn't know what to make of it.
Well, yes, but there is a point, though, right? When they find out about the affair, they become very angry. Is that fair to say?
When they find out about the affair,
Okay.
that's the beginning of hot rage.
Okay. And you're telling us that this hot rage can be carried over for a number of years, isn't that
Oh,
correct?
yes.
1, 2, 3, 4 years?
Can
Wouldn't that be
carried for a
cold
long
rage?
period of time.
5, 6, 7 years?
Can be carried for a long period of time.
6, 7, 8 years?
Can be carried for a long period of time.
8 years?
Can be carried for a long period of time.
Well, can it be carried for 8 years?
I have treated cases that have never been fully resolved, where well into a second marriage, the second marriage falls apart because the issue in the first marriage was never resolved. Yes,
So your answer to that is yes.
yes.
It can be carried for 8 years. And even after the couple is separated, you're telling us, and even remarried, that rage can still be there in the first
If the
spouse.
conditions that I described were never attended to, yes. That is to say, if there was never admission and remorse.
And it's your position that the only way that the spouse can get over the affair, the afflicted spouse, the person that you call the victim, can get over the affair is if the second spouse admits it and is very remorseful. Is that correct?
It is the better way.
Is it the only way?
No,
Okay.
sometimes years of therapy can help a person through that.
Is there a way they can get over the affair without going through years of therapy and without having remorse on the spouse's part?
They have to undergo some remarkable personal experience of reorganization because they really feel shattered. It's a shattering experience.
Okay, then she should have done that.
Anger
And
and
she
rage is something
didn't.
that you treat in your practice, isn't it, doctor?
This is correct.
And do you ever have people in your practice that refuse to come to terms with their anger and rage and don't wish to get rid of it?
I have not had anybody who doesn't wish to get rid of it, but I've had people who have a great deal of trouble getting rid of it.
You've never heard of the notion of cherished anger or cherished rage?
No, I'm not familiar with that notion.
Okay. But it's correct that if somebody doesn't want to put aside their rage, a therapist can't help them. Is that fair to say?
What I teach on the basis of clinical research is that, in fact, if you can help the person be accepted, validated in their rage, rather than attempting to press the rage down, that in that case, they begin to work through the rage. It's the pressing away of the rage which increases the rage. That's the pressure cooker effect that I was talking about. So a therapist who mistakenly attempts to simply stop the rage as if the rage were irrational increases the rage.
But my question, doctor, was if somebody does not want to put aside their rage, you can't make them do that, can you, as a therapist?
It has not been my finding that people in this situation don't want to put aside their rage.
You never
They
had
want closure because they feel so uncomfortable with their rage.
So you've never had a person that doesn't want to hold on to the rage, is that correct?
Only when there was a premorbid history about that. That's the only time that I see that. In other words, by premorbid, let me explain what I mean by premorbid history.
You mean when there's somebody, if they have something else wrong with them in terms of
If they have a
personality?
long previous history of being that way, then they will continue being that way. But what I find in infidelity is frequently there is no premorbid history.
Well, you-
What goes wrong begins to create this rage, and the person feels that the rage is very foreign to them. They want to get rid of it. They don't want the rage.
Doctor, you don't know what there was or was not in Mrs. Broderick's premarital history of
This is correct.
premorbidity, is what you put it. Okay. So what you're saying, you can't address specifically to Mrs. Broderick? can
No,
you?
I cannot.
Okay. Now, haven't you stated, I don't know if you did it this time, but the last time you testified here, you stated that marital infidelity is a symptom rather than the cause of a deteriorating or bad marriage. Would that be
That
fair
is
to say?
correct.
And it's the pre-existing problems in the marriage that cause the marital infidelity or precipitate them as precipitated it.
No,
as
I think
factors.
that's an oversimplification because they don't necessarily have to precipitate infidelity. What I do find is that those premorbid symptoms, specifically poor problem solving and poor self-disclosure, do precede an infidelity, but they can precede other kinds of marital problems too, not necessarily resulting in an infidelity.
But the problems of the marriage, doctor, are the precipitating factors in an infidelity. Isn't that correct?
Yes,
And in fact, that's what you testified last time.
that is
wasn't it?
correct.
Okay. And these problems that pre-existed the affair, that caused the affair, don't necessarily have to be the cause or the fault of the spouse that ends up having the affair. Isn't that fair to say?
No, we're talking about a couple that has poor self-disclosure. They don't know how to talk to each other about what they are feeling and experiencing. And because of that, as problems arise, they find it difficult to talk about problems that arise, and they tend to go underground.
So are you saying yes, that it doesn't have to be a problem caused by the spouse that ultimately has the affair, that causes the bad marriage and precipitates the affair?
The problem itself is the problem of poor self-disclosure leading to poor problem solving. That doesn't necessarily mean that poor problem solving and poor self-disclosure will result in an affair. An affair is a decision a person makes to conduct an affair. A person could ask for divorce. A person could say we need some marital therapy to talk about the problem we're having. A lot of things could happen.
My question to you, though, doctor, is let's say there's a marriage,
Mhm.
and at some point, one of the spouses, spouse A,
Mhm.
has an affair.
Yes.
And we must assume, based on what you're saying, that there must be some problems that exist in that marriage before spouse A goes off and has the affair. Isn't that correct?
There are generally precipitating problems.
Okay. Now, my question to you, though, is
I have to make one careful statement there. There is a personality disorder called Don Juanism. And a Don Juan
Well,
may not be in that same situation.
okay.
But if you're talking specifically about marital infidelity as I've defined it, generally speaking, it is preceded by those two things.
okay. And assuming, again, that the spouse A, the one that goes off and has the affair, assuming that there are these precipitating problems, spouse A doesn't have to be the person who caused the problems.
Problems, generally speaking, are between the members of the couple.
So you think it's both the problem of both the spouses in each instance. Is that correct?
Generally speaking, as I said, there is poor problem solving and poor self-disclosure. But they don't necessarily have to eventuate in an affair.
It's correct to
That's a
say
decision.
you don't know what the marital situation was with the Brodericks before the affair took place. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And you don't know who was responsible for those problems that pre-existed the affair, do you?
I am not familiar with the Broderick case.
So the answer to that is no, you don't know. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
True.
And you stated that sometimes as you termed it, the victim of the affair may act sort of crazy. I think you said something like that.
The victim of the affair is really in a devastated state when she discovers the lying, cheating, the complete misrepresentation of what is going on in the marriage. Yes.
Isn't it true that that could be caused by the anger and the hate? Isn't that correct?
What I have found is that it is caused by the devastating feeling that you have gone on believing that whatever else is happening, the marriage contract of monogamy and fidelity is correct, is ongoing, and suddenly discovering that it isn't. And that at that point, the person is devastated and has a whole range of emotions.
Doctor, in your practice, do you try to be non-judgmental when you treat couples who come to you with one or more having engaged in an extramarital affair?
Yes.
And you try to deal with both even-handedly and show compassion and understanding for both the person who has the affair and the person who has not had the affair, is that
Yes.
correct? Do you think calling the spouse that had the affair the infidel or the perpetrator, as you have before, do you think that helps that non-judgmental aspect?
Perpetrator is not my term. I mentioned that some people in the literature use the term perpetrator. I prefer the term infidel because it specifically refers to the pain that the infidel directly inflicts on the victim by the act of lying. And I refer to the victim because unless you begin by ratifying that feeling on that person's part that they indeed have been lied to and that the pain and suffering that they're experiencing is real, I find that you cannot really go on to help people to get better. You have to remember that most of the cases that I see of infidelity result in people coming back together, not splitting up. But it's because I begin by helping the infidel to accept the rage of the victim. And I will say to them, you have to understand.
Okay,
this
Doctor, there's
report,
no question. Thank you.
Your Honor, he was still explaining his answer.
I think the answer called for a yes or no answer, and
Well, you explained it long enough. Ask him another question.
thank you. So, Doctor, your answer then to my question, it's been a while since I asked it, but the answer to my question is no, you don't believe that's judgmental to call one of the partners in this situation the infidel.
no,
That's
I think
okay.
it's necessary.
Okay. Now, I remember reading something in the newspaper just recently that somewhere around 50% of all men during the course of their marriage and between 30 and 40% of all women during the course of their marriage have an extramarital affair. Would you say those are fair statistics?
I would refer you to the articles by Fred Humphreys, who's an expert on the demography of infidelity. Those figures clump people who once in their lives have had a brief encounter with another human being all the way up to protracted infidelity. Therefore, they are very confusing figures. I don't think they clearly represent. I'm not a demographer, but I've studied
What?
Fred's work very carefully. And I would say that that's a misrepresentation, that when you think about protracted, ongoing infidelity, where one person is for a long period of time involved with another during the course of a marriage, that's not a correct view. It doesn't really describe that. No.
Well, how high do you think it is?
I would say probably at the most 10, 20%.
10, 20%. So you disagree with those figures?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Excuse me, I wouldn't say I disagree with them. I would say that Fred's figures are the same. Because if you break them down, most of them are not protracted, lengthy infidelity that goes on during the course of a long marriage.
I see. It's safe to say, though, that there are enough people out there having affairs that it keeps you in a fairly steady practice, doesn't it?
This is true.
Okay. How many people have you seen in the last, 10 years that you've been doing this?
Yeah, at least.
How many people have you seen during that time?
Oh, goodness. Hundreds of couples, easily. Thousands of hours of infidelity.
Oh.
Thousands and thousands of hours.
Hundreds of people. Isn't it correct that it's not very uncommon that when one spouse thinks the other spouse is having an affair, and indeed the other spouse is having an affair, the spouse doesn't admit it when they're confronted with it? Isn't that correct to say?
The way I work is that, because that's all I can do. I can only tell you about my cases, sir. I can't tell you about people in general. I haven't treated people in general. I've treated the particular people that you're asking about. I can tell you about them.
But let me
And what I do.
rephrase the question then, if you have problems with it. So out of all the couples that you treated, is it
Okay.
true that a lot of them did not come clean, admit, disclose, however you want to put it, the affair when their spouse confronted them with it?
You're talking about protracted infidelity that I have treated. I do everything in my power to get the person who has done that to talk about it, and I am largely successful. I ask the person point blank. I see the person alone. I ask the person, are you indeed involved with this? I strongly request that the person tell the truth, and I will help them to work through it. and it will only be for the good. And most of those people stay in therapy, go on, do talk. Occasionally, someone will say, I'm not going to do that, and they leave therapy. But over and over, what I find is that, yes, once people understand that it's the lying that has caused the hurt, particularly if they want the marriage to go on.
I think you maybe answered my question, doctor. I'm not quite sure. What I would like would
A lot
be
of
a
word
yes or no
salad.
answer. Are there a lot of people when they have an affair, they don't own up to it right away when they get discovered?
I do not treat them. I'm talking about the people
Okay.
that I have treated, and I'm describing what happens in treatment.
And the people you've treated, that's never happened. Is that what you're saying?
The percentage of cases in which a man has refused, once he understands what is at stake in terms of the progress of his relationship with his wife, his children, and so forth, the percentage that refuse to talk about this thing is small.
But isn't it the case that a lot of people who are in affairs don't admit them when they're confronted by their spouses? Or do you feel uncomfortable with that question?
It's, again, if you're asking me what I treat and what happens during treatment, it's a different question. I'm not an expert on what happens all the time. I haven't treated those people.
Well,
I'm not a
doctor,
sociologist of this issue.
well, doctor, when couples come to you, you take a history from them, don't you?
Yes, indeed.
You ask them what's happened in the course of their marriage, right?
Mhm.
And we assume that the affair is out on the table at this point because that's why they're coming to you.
No,
isn't that correct?
not necessarily.
But don't a lot of people come to you who have had the affair exposed, and they come to you to seek some sort of counseling? Isn't that correct?
Some people come already having been through the stage of discovery. Yes.
Okay. And of those people, wouldn't you say that there's a number of them that when their spouse first asked them about the affair, they denied it? Isn't that correct?
Usually there's some period of denial, obviously.
Okay. And that period of denial could go from a short period to a long period. Isn't that correct?
That's correct. But
Okay.
the longer it goes on, the more cold rage you're engendering in the victim.
I betcha. Doctor, in all your practice, here, but 10 years with couples involved in infidelity,
Easily.
hundreds of couples. Some of these couples, the people who were, as you say, the victim of the affair, they were very angry, weren't they?
Absolutely.
They screamed and they yelled and they vented their anger, didn't they?
Often threaten to kill the other person
Well, tell
or
me,
themselves.
or themselves. Well, tell me, doctor, how many of these people that you treated actually went out and killed the other spouse?
I have not treated anyone who went out and killed the other spouse.
Thank you. I'm nothing further.
Redirect.
And you're talking about couples who are in treatment where one side is being honest with the other. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
You're not talking about a couple, someone who is saying, your objection, lady, Your Honor.
Sustained.
I take it that depending if the cold rage and this pressure cooking of denying that you're at fault for causing the person's problems, you have to take that into account. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And when people come in and deal with the problem as to what they've caused the other person, then you're releasing that pressure cooker.
Yes. Trying to.
Thank you. No further questions.
Recross.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Witness be accused.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our evening recess at this time. First of all, on behalf of myself and the lawyers, thank you for agreeing to stay a little longer today. I'd ask that you be extra careful in following the admonition, especially this weekend. It's been my opinion that things such as the question rather that I struck will be the focal point of the news. I don't want you to be contaminated by anything. Please be extra careful not to read, listen, or watch any news about this trial. Also remember not to discuss the case among yourselves nor allow anyone else to discuss it with you, nor form any opinions on it until it's finally submitted to you. And in fairness to the members of the press that are present, I understand why they have to write their articles because they write articles that sell newspapers. But please be careful not to read anything about this trial. Have a nice weekend. See you Monday at 9 o'clock.
Oh, no. Stop. Don't do it. All right. Well, we know Church Lady's back. Holy, I don't have brain cells left to even close out the stream. Oh. For today. I told you yesterday and today would be short days. Thursday looks like we've got an hour and a half of psychologist Dr. Catherine DeFrancesca. I do think we've heard her name. So I do think that she may be at least treated Betty. She's on the stand. We'll have her on Thursday and Monday. But that was awful. No, it was not, Gabby. I'm not watching the next one. Fell down. I can't take anymore. Oh, thanks, Adair. I could just sit and look pretty. Is that what you're saying? Don't speak. Yeah. We have 2 brain cells fighting for 3rd place, as my sergeant says. Yes. And correct. I will not be here tomorrow. I have dinner with my dad, my brother, and my husband. Pedal down. Hey there, smart girls. Okay, thanks. Thank you. I'll let you know when I find one. We need to watch the trial. The AJ trial. No. No. From 1963. Correct. No stream tomorrow. I do just want to make. Aw, thanks, Paddletown. I will. I know I can just look at myself on the screen. I will. I had a funny thing happen today. So I was out to lunch with my dad and Mad Dog and my daughter-in-law. And we ran into this couple that my dad knows. The funny thing is, the first time that we saw this couple and the same group was together, they thought Bree was my mom. And that Mad Dog was mine. I just looked at her, I didn't say anything. I was like, oh. But it was funny. But anyway, so we ran into him today. We're talking and the guy looks at his wife and he's pointing to me. He's like, who does she remind you of? And I'm just like, oh gosh. And his wife's like, I don't know. And he's like, oh, I know. It's somebody. And he kind of keeps talking to my dad. And he's like, can I take your picture? And I'm like, what? He's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. I promise. Like, in my mind, I'm like, you telling me it's fine does not make me feel fine. But I don't know. He's an older, retired truck driver. He's super nice. And so I'm like, fine. So he holds up his phone and I smile. He goes, don't smile. She never smiles. So don't smile. Like, so now I'm laughing. So like, okay. So I don't smile. He goes, so he took it and he's like, okay, perfect. Now smile. So I smile. And he goes, yeah, you guys just look so similar. But she's tall and thin and black. It's like, what? Give me your phone. I'm deleting those pictures right now. He's married. I was in front of my dad. No. Oh, I do not have a warrant. Oh, it's so funny. I was like, I need an adult from all the adults right here. I think he was joking the last part. I think he was joking. It's almost like, did you just call me fat? I don't know what I look like. Because he said he said a name and his wife goes, no, that's not it. So I do just have one brief announcement. I don't know. AJ jacked a money tree in 1986. I did not flash. So Carmen's partner, Cheyenne, just so you can keep her in your thoughts, prayers, whatever it is that you do. This is a note from Carmen, just so I make sure to get it correct. But Cheyenne's biological dad passed away unexpectedly this morning. So been told to specify biological versus adopted dad, because obviously her adopted dad was more her dad, but still, it's tough. So, but Carmen said, but nonetheless, thoughts and prayers could definitely be used right now as everyone tries to navigate through this. So Cheyenne knows that all of our thoughts are definitely with her, because it's still your parent. And at the end of the day, it sucks. So anyway, if you can and want to, or whatever it is, then I would appreciate it. I know Cheyenne would appreciate it. It's never easy. So, and they're in Texas, he's here, and makes that harder as well. But I know Cheyenne is a very strong person, and she's very strong-willed, strong-minded, and she'll be just fine. So, but you're welcome, Carmen. Well, Middletown will tell you that dogs rule the house. I would say cats rule the house, but I think dogs rule the house. They rule mine. They definitely rule mine. Oh, I wouldn't say that. I would not say that at all, dog mom. That was awful. It was awful. It turns out that guy never, as he went on, I was questioning him, like, he's never said Betty's name. He's never said Dan's name. Like, he's never said anything. And then as it turns out, on cross-examination, he's never, ever talked to Betty. Obviously, he didn't talk to Dan, but he's never talked to her. And I get it, experts do that. I said that. Like, I know we get a lot of experts that, especially, like, they read the reports, whatever, give their opinion. He didn't even have a report. He saw some stuff on 2020, watched one day of her testimony. I don't know which one it was, because he said, I watched yesterday, and yesterday I have no idea in the 12 parts that we watched where that was. Yeah. Also, I think we need a cold rage, like tumbler, and then a hot rage coffee cup. I'll add to the list of things I cannot seem to make. Because, yes, and then he did say that it varies from couple to couple, which I agree. That negated a ton of what he said. And he didn't say sometimes people are just crazy. Only made excuses and victim of it. Cold rage should be an alcoholic drink. Could be, or it could be a shot. No pun intended. That came out bad in this trial. Sorry, I take that back. Betty will be back on the stand. I hope not. All right, guys. I will see you guys Thursday for another doctor. I think one that has at least treated Betty or talked to her at least. we'll see what happens. Because it's got to get better than this guy. The defense, my goodness, their most interesting witness was their first one, and that was the sheet fighter. Like, measure my sheets, don't touch my sheets. My sheets crinkle at a ½ inch apart. That's where the wrinkles come on the side of the bed. That's where it is, and don't touch them. Enjoy your lamb chops. I've never had those and don't know that I will. Well, we will see you then, dog mom. Thank you, Puddletown. I appreciate it. That is true. It's not easy, but it does get easier with time. And religious chicken. I'll even do it, even though Gabby didn't even make me do it. That's right. Religious chicken. All right, guys. Have a good rest of your night. See you guys all Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Madera Time / Carmen Time, 3 p.m. Puddletown Time. And I don't know anybody else. I don't know. If you're in between there, you know what time it is. It's time for me to go.